Hey there everybody, just taking a look here at some gearing options for new Prot Paladins. We are currently late in Phase 3 Firelands here of Cata Classic, looking for the Dragon Soul PTRs to come up any week now. The reason why I'm making this video is I've seen on the Discord, Paladin Classic Discord, that there are several new people filling the role for off-tanking here for Paladins, for their guilds to help them continue progressing and keep clearing every week. I myself started off as a Holy Paladin, and we lost our Prot right before Firelands. It was the third PTR session of that, so it looked on like 2 weeks before Firelands launched. I had to quickly learn how to do all the tanking and whatnot, so I got some pretty good experience on how to gear up fresh on this, as well as kind of what to look at and kind of how to get through all the gear and the data there and see kind of what's important, what you need to go for, and what's kind of feasible for and everything. First things first here, as far as stats are considered and everything, you want to make sure you are going for your combat table coverage, which is called CTC as well. If you hear that phrase a lot, CTC, combat table coverage. Basically, it is a combination of the boss's chance to miss, your dodge percentage, your parry percentage, and your block percentage all added up. And you're trying to get to 102.4%. Now what that will do for you is that'll mean that at 102.4% you are guaranteed to either completely not get hit because you got missed by the boss, you dodged or parried the attack, so no damage at all got to you, or you negated 30% via blocking, which is huge for us. Obviously, we're using shields, so we need to make use of that as much as we possibly can. Now, this WeakAura right here, how I'm tracking this is Tankadin 2 by Bluedawn. I'll be putting that in the description of the channel here for you, this video here for you. And you could use a macro for this. You see, I've already clicked it once, so I'll click it again here to show you. Get you some of the same stats here. You're trying to get 102.4. I've got that, and I'm a little low right now, because I don't have all the other raid buffs. With all the other raid buffs, I'm over the 102.4%, like I think 0.5 is where I'm at, so I'm just barely over it, because anything over is just wasted. So you want to be really right on top of the 102.4% when possible, and that's just going to take some playing around with your stats, reforging, and just trying to see what works with you and what doesn't work with you with the gear pieces you get. So we're going to take a look at these gear options here from WoWhead's website and just kind of go through that and give you my take on kind of what I would go after if I was doing this, and kind of what I went after when I was gearing up right before Firelands came out, and what I would suggest you go after now as well if I were to do it all over again. And some of this is going to be where you're going to be looking at budget, maybe not, don't have much gold or anything like that. So we'll kind of look at options for both there. So you don't need to be like trying buying all the BOEs and all that stuff, because that can get really expensive really quickly depending on what server you're on. But again, we're trying to hit this 102.4%. Now just kind of make sure everybody's understanding here, this is going to be a hard goal to hit without raid gear. So we're talking purely pre-raid gear. You're going to get close, maybe like 95, 96, 97, something like that to this, but don't expect to get to this value without some raid gear. Just you need those extra stats, and it's just not really possible to get there without the raid gear. You'll get closer than you could back phase 1 if we were doing this back phase 1, but even phase 1 pre-raid you could not get all the way there. And even though we have access to the Inferno vendor now to get some of that raid loot from those first raids, we still can't quite get all the way there yet, but you'll still be just fine for tanking. So I mean, this, you want to get there as quickly as possible and keep that on the forefront of your mind there of getting there. But just realize if you're not there, you're not hopeless. You're not up a creek or anything, but you do want to focus on getting to that value there. So just pulling up the WoWhead site here real quick and looking at their Phase 3 late options here. If you're Phase 3 launch, maybe you're just a brand new player, maybe look at that and kind of look at these. The most changes here are via the neck piece, and some of these tier items are changed between the two here. And so I would be taking a look at this here, assuming that you've been playing for a little while, you just haven't tanked yet is all. So maybe you've got some of the ability to grab some of these pieces here real quick, or at this point you still farm it up and get those points there from the vendor to get that and get those pieces here for these tiers. So just going down the list here, we got these reinforced bio-optic kill shades. These are honestly one of the best out of raid helmets you'll get. It's just not possible to find a good helmet that has mastery on it, because you can slot in that 2/8 mastery. Obviously, you do have to be engineering. Maybe you don't want to. Maybe you're not engineering. Maybe you don't want to, go into engineering right now just for this piece. Totally understand that. But again, without that, it's going to be really, you're just going to be cutting yourself just a little short there. Just realize that there's not really a good helmet. There is one in a heroic dungeon somewhere. Let's see if I can find that real quick. I want to say it is in Throne of the Tides. 5-man heroic. Let's take the loot here. Paladin, go head slots. Yeah, the Unumaran helm. That's got mastery on it, but I mean, it's a 346. It's not the best. It's still something, still a mastery helmet, but obviously you have to run that every day for a chance at that, or get lucky through the Inferno randomizer there and hope for it. And I would not personally spend my time actively trying to get this piece. I would just as easily pick up one of the Inferno pieces here. The tier helm via the Inferno would be. It doesn't have mastery on it, but it's still a great option. It will, get you something there, a little bit better stats on the other things. It's not mastery, so it won't help you that way. So pick up this Helm of the Forlorn Conqueror and snag that tier helm. Be a really decent option for you there. Taking a look at the neck piece here, definitely a good neck piece here. The Bis neck is a BOE from Firelands, and that's what I've currently have on my guy. This Firebound Gorget, and that is the Bis, because it's got a huge amount of mastery and got expertise on there as well. It does require to get a upgrade a crystallized firestone from the raid in order to get it to the heroic version. But again, it may be pretty expensive just snagging it the normal version anyway. So unless you've already got one or you're just loaded, then maybe grab this one instead, because it's still a really good neck on the normal version. And then when you can upgrade it and you've got your Bis neck. But again, taking a look here, this neck piece here, the Stoneheart necklace, is a really good one, easy to pick up there from our good old Valor Quartermaster over here. And yeah, only 1250, so not a whole lot there, honestly. Pretty easy to get that. It's a really good neck. It's got 165, so just taking a look at mastery values, quite a bit more on the mastery side because it's heroic, but the non-heroic version, they're pretty similar. So honestly, if you don't have a crystallized firestone just kind of burn your pockets, which you probably don't, just pick up this one and wait until you can upgrade this one to the full Bis there, or see what you got going on there, and we'll see what we can do on that. Now, taking a look here at next slot here, Pauldrons of Edward the Odd. This is a BOE that is amazing. It was Bis Phase 1, still Bis now, and it is just awesome for, pre-raid gear that is Bis. And that's because it's got a huge amount of mastery on it. Okay, now if you don't have that on your server, you can't find it, can't afford it, that's totally fine. I understand there, been there, done that. You can definitely take a look here over at the Inferno vendor and snag the Heroic Pauldrons of the Apocalypse. Yes, it's parry and expertise. I would suggest, reforging the parry into mastery, because you got more stats there to reforge off of. And parry and dodge, although they're good and you want those stats, they have huge diminishing returns. Mastery does not. So you want to keep your parry and dodge rating as equal as possible and just beef up that mastery value as much as you can here. So I would highly suggest going for this if you can't get Pauldrons of Edward the Odd. Alright, taking a look here at the back piece. This comes from the quest line that's new, going through and helping Thrall out and whatnot. Personally, I don't really like this one. I mean, it's 365, it's not bad, but there's a better one out there that you can get. I don't know why it's not on here, and that is from the Inferno vendor as well. It's one of the random roll deals here, one of these satchels here, and I actually am still using it because the only Bis one that's really better than this is from the raid. That's a DPS one, and I'm not going to take that DPS back from a DPS. They should get that first, in my opinion. I'll get it before it turns into DE, and that's when I'll finally grab one. So I'm still using Permafrost Cape of the Bedrock. These what I'm trying to say there. The suffix there we go. The suffix here is really kind of, you got three options, and that's why it's a little random roll going on there. I would go with either of the two that give you mastery. It's either going to be mastery dodge or mastery parry, and then do what I've done here and just take that and reforge the dodge into parry, kind of keeping those equal as possible there. If that makes sense for your CTC values here. But again, this cloak is better eye level, a little bit better stats, more mastery on it. So it's just, just better overall. Let's see, I think I might have misspoke there. Yeah, it's got more mastery on it. I said 134, whereas the Permafrost has 143, which is only 9, but I mean, still, you're trying to get as much as you possibly can right now to try and get that CTC up as good as you can there. So, I mean, you're going to be farming Infernos anyway. That's not too bad. The Permafrost Cape here is pretty cheap. It's one of the 12 options here. So, it's pretty easy to get that, and there you go. Alright, taking a look here at the chest guard. Again, if you've got a lot of Valor points going on there, grab the Immolation chest guard there and grab that one. It's really good. Or you could grab, if you got a lot of, you spend all your Valor on other stuff, you got Justice points left over, maybe you want to start with this one, because this one has Mastery, whereas Immolation doesn't have Mastery. So, personally, if I'm really far away from that, I'm probably going to pick up this piece first because it's got mastery on it, and I need as much mastery as I can get. So I would use my justice points on picking up this tier piece, save my valor points for other things, and pick up this when it makes sense. When I'm pretty close to that CTC and it makes sense to grab it. Looking at the wrist guard, I really don't like this wrist guard being on here. It's a good wrist guard, don't get me wrong. It's really good, but it is stuck in the Molten Front, and that is a long grind. Now, I've been playing this quite a bit, and in the Firelands and whatnot, I played all the Molten Front, unlocked all the vendors. You're going to take several weeks before you can get this of doing those dailies every day. I'm not joking. It's going to take 2-3 weeks easy just to get this one piece, and by that time you've missed out 2-3 lockouts, or you've already run it. You probably got an upgrade from Firelands itself at that point. So I don't think it makes sense to go after Ricketts Gun Show, when especially we have, again, the Inferno vendor, and you can pick up last phase's BIS, which is the Bracers of Impossible Strength. They've got mastery on there. It's 50, so a little chunky there on, got to do some dungeons there, but it's got your mastery parry, and you don't have to wait weeks. You can grind this out, and instead of having to, wait weeks to go through the Molten Front and do all that stuff, there you go. Now, if you've got access to Molten Front, by all means, save yourself some of the stone fragments here and grab that. Save yourself some grinding if you want to. Again, do what makes the most sense for you and your position there. Either one is a great piece, but if you're fresh, you haven't done anything Molten Front there, get this one. Much easier, much more accessible for players that are just starting out. Molten Front is decent, it's not bad. You get some good gold from doing those dailies, especially when you unlock all of the quests and whatnot, but again, it's progressive. It takes forever for that to happen and get there, so I wouldn't just do it right in here, right now for the wrist. I'll just pick up this one and call it a day and move on. Alright, looking here at the handguards, same kind of situation before, depending on how many points you have. These handguards do have mastery, and so, if I was spending my Valor points first between tier pieces, I would go for, probably the legs personally, because it's got so much mastery on those. But it's really up to you on which one you want to pick up there, first or second. But again, looking for as much mastery, so if you don't have very many of the Valor, you got some Justice lying around, pick up last tier, previous tier's stuff there, get that, and there you go. It's a little bit better, obviously, for the new tier course, so grab that, and there it is. Now, the Hardened Elementium Girdle is a BOE, not a bad BOE at all. It's really good, so just depending on what you've got going on there, you may or may not be able to afford that at this point. You maybe you can, maybe you can't, depends on how much that's selling for on your server. So, you can go with that one. Again, though, we do have the vendor that has a nice Thunderwall belt on there. So Thunderwall belt, again, same suffix deal or issue, whatever you want to call it, as the cloak was. I just happened to get bedrock on both of these. It's one I happened to get out of my lucky draw there, but you get 180 mastery there. So there's 180 mastery, and then your dodge and parry. and just do the same reforging deal as it did with the Cloak, and you've got a great belt, and it's really not that expensive, right? You're only talking about just a little bit here, 12, so a couple runs there, and you've got it. You got your belt. So you save you however much gold you might be saving yourself there. Again, depends on your server, and see what makes most sense for you to do that. Again, that's 149 mastery here, whereas this one is 180. So it's still, I would say this is better anyway, because it's got quite a bit more mastery on it. It's like a whole gem slot almost of mastery. So I would just get this anyway. I don't think the other one's better. I think this one's better than the BOE, in my opinion, for pre-raid. Taking a look here at the legs. I already talked about legs a little bit here. You can go ahead and snag those with either the Valor or the Justice points here. Either way on that. Taking a look here, kind of the 391 version there. Notice I've got the DPS version, and I might actually pick that up. So this here on the website here, WoWhead, they have the tank version because it's got the parry rating there. Yes, it's got mastery, which is great, but it's also got parry, which we could use and we could need here. But eventually, assuming you keep rating everything and you can get the upgrades and everything that you can use to upgrade your gear and what have you, then beefing this up to the 391 leg plates here again, and that piece there instead is just better because it's got the DPS piece. It has more mastery there. It's got a little bit more damage you can do and whatnot, and you're going to end up probably shooting for the 2-piece Prot, 2-piece Ret in the end eventually by the time you get full BIS, if you're able to get there, just because you want to survive, of course. That's your job as a tank, surviving, not dying, or else obviously it could be a wipe. But you also want to do as much damage as you can. That way you're killing the boss as quickly as possible, killing different things in the fight that you need a DPS down. That is your responsibility. In Firelands, you get some responsibility to kill some things there, and so you need to do as much damage as you can when you can. And so picking up the DPS version of these is probably a better pickup. It's going to save you in the long run, so that when you get the token, you can just upgrade this to your BIS anyway, instead of spending Valor on 2 sets of legs. I just think that's a waste. I wouldn't do that. Just buy the DPS legs, and they're going to last you no problem there, and then you'll upgrade them, and you've got your BIS legs, and there you go. Alright, taking a look here at our boots. So boot options here, you got Boots of the Sullen Rock. Not a bad one there. It is actually from one of the one of the dailies there with the Dragon Ball clan. You eventually get that up to Exalted and get there, so a few days of that you'll have that probably. Or you can get the BOE, the mirrored boots, but again that may be a little out of pocket there for you. Not sure, again, prices on your server, but see what they go for. Mirrored boots are really, really good. They've got high amount mastery there, and that parry is nothing to laugh at. But again, that's a BOE, and it's a raid BOE, so it's gonna maybe a little costly on that. Okay, so options there, you get to looking at here into our Inferno vendor here, and let's see, War-Torn Crushers are not bad. They just don't have any mastery, but that is an option, right? I mean, that definitely something there. You can reforge that into some mastery, get some of those points back, and I think that's the only one that's in here, because the ones I've got on are you had to actually go kill the worm there, Magmaw back in the Blackwing Descent raid there. They didn't put those boots on the vendor, unfortunately, and that's really your only options in my opinion. So see how much mirrored boots are. If they're out of your way there, you can't afford it, which is totally fine. Just pick these up and reforge it to mastery, and there you go. And you'll just kind of hold on to those until you get a raid upgrade. These are not bad boots at all. Not bad. And then take a look here at our rings. So Thex Ember Seal, and we'll talk about first here. It's a raid BOE, and that you can upgrade as well. It's got, as you can see, some mastery, a lot of dodge on there, and it's a pretty good ring. But again, BOE, check the prices. Maybe you can, maybe you can't afford it. So be looking at options there, either on the vendors from the Justice Point. I think it's the same thing here. Oh yeah, there it goes. Yeah, the Ring of the Battle Anthem is a nice one. Lagerhorn Green, that's another one that is going to be in the Molten Front, so that's going to be the same issue as Ricketts Gun Show. Probably meh on that. But Ring of Battle Anthem's not a bad one. But Valor Points Deflecting Brimstone Band is a really good one. If you can't afford Thex Ember Seal, I would go with the Deflecting Brimstone Band, and you don't. This is assuming you haven't done any raids, so you don't have the ability to purchase the raid one because you don't have the reputation yet. But if you have the reputation, just pick up your Abyss Ring, of course. But there is some permafrost signets in here that you want to get, and so the permafrost is the tanking version of the ring here, and so you want to pick that up. And same deal, it's only 12, and same deal on the suffixes for the other, the cloak and the what was? Oh yeah, the belt. I'm not wearing anymore, but same suffix issue there. But it's a good ring, only 12, so a couple runs there you'll have a nice ring there, nice 372 item level ring. Help yourself out there. So again, do what makes sense the most for yourself there. Snag this one, buy Thex, and then wait to upgrade it. Upgrade version is Abyss. Just do whatever makes the most sense to you. If you have the ability to get the Mentite Signet because you've gotten, you've been playing Firelands, but you're just now switched to Prot tank, go for it. Obviously you should pick that up. And take a look, see at Trinkets. Trinkets is the big deal here. Obviously there always are. Scales of Life is a pretty expensive trinket. BOE might not be affordable for you, and the Lifebound Alchemist Stone is really, really good, and I would suggest going for that if you have Alchemist. If you don't have Alchemist though, and you don't want to pick it up, then maybe not go for it. But I mean, that's 213 stamina. It's hard to pass that up. There's quite a bit of stamina there. But even this phase 3 late, I have the scales, I haven't upgraded them, but I just don't use them too much, just because Mirror is just, a Mirror of Broken Images is kind of awesome. It's just amazing. It's got a huge amount of mastery, and that on use is really good for soaking things that you need to soak, different fights there, just, helping yourself survive and whatnot. Not saying scales is bad, but I'm not going to pay 50, 60, 70k, gold for scales when I've already got this guy right here and I'm sitting pretty. Now the mirror is from Tol Barad, and you got to do that rep grind a little bit. Probably takes about 5-6 days, something like that, of doing that. Won't take too long if you have 0 rep with those guys to get that. And again, I still use it. It's amazing. A lot of prop paladins use it. It's just a really good trinket on a lot of fights. Maybe you don't use it for every fight, but I do, just because I find I use it quite a bit there, just to soak some damage there and to take some things and just to make myself a little bit more survivable. The Lifebound Alchemist Stone, again, if you're alchemy, really, really good one. If not, then there is some stuff you can pick up here. The Symbiotic Worm is not bad. It's got a huge amount of stamina on there, and stamina is a really good stat, of course. If you don't have the ability to get mastery, get stam. Obviously you want more mastery over stam, but stamina is important too. You got to have enough health to live. And so you pick that up, and you've got your 2 trinkets. So Mirror Broken Images and Symbiotic Worm, in my opinion, are more feasible to get if you're not already an alchemist and you're just not made of gold. Alright, if you get lucky, you'll get your Spider Silk Spindle. That thing is awesome, and you'll replace your Alchemist Stone right away with this. I was alchemy for a little bit. I'd switched to alchemy to pick up the stone for a little bit because I was just shy of that full CTC, and wanted to go ahead and do that for the guild there, so did that. And as soon as I got the spindle, which I got lucky on that, got it like 3rd or 4th week there, and I switched off of alchemy. I don't have alchemy anymore in this character. I only got it for that trinket. So again, maybe you don't want to do that. I just had the means and the ability to do that. I've got alchemy on other characters, so it really didn't need it on yet another tune here. So that's up to you. You do what you think is good for you and your character and what you want to do. Symbiotic Worm, again, is awesome. And so if I was me, starting out again, I have 0 rep with everything, I'm broke, I ain't got nothing, I'm just going to do the Symbiotic Worm, grind those Fissure Stone fragments through Infernos, and do some Tol Barad dailies every day and get that mirror. And I'm set with trinkets, and life is good. Alright, almost done here with this. Take a look at our weapons now. Soul Blade is really good. So this right here that you're looking at is going to be a difference of how much can you afford, because these are both BOE options. And so you're looking at Soul Blade, or you're looking at Unbreakable Guardian. Unbreakable Guardian is BOE. It does come from Molten Front dailies, so it might be a little expensive, just because people had to grind a whole lot to get to that pattern. But it is a little bit better than or I should rephrase that. It's a little bit worse than the heroic version of the Mace of Acrid Death, which is the Phase 1 BIS weapon. All right, so it's like less than 10 stats just about for all these. It's a direct link there. They're the same stats on both pieces. It's just the mace has a little bit better. I mean, it's tiny bit though. So you're basically able to get your Phase 1 BIS through a BOE, which is awesome, but again, it may be pretty expensive for you, maybe not feasible to do. Compare prices, all right, with your Soul Blade. Compare prices to the Unbreakable Guardian there. There is also, of course, if you don't have any gold on you, you can't afford it, just pick this one up. That's the non-heroic version. All right, it's still good, still really, really good. All right. So that's what I would go for. If I can't afford anything, I'm just grinding through Infernos anyway, and I don't have much gold on me, I'm getting the Mace of Acrid Death. Just go for it. I mean, it's a good one. All right. Now, if you do have a lot of money available to you there, the Obsidian Cleaver is a BOE that you will end up upgrading because it is the BIS. The other weapon from the raid is a drop from Bethdalak, and they are, let me just do a comparison here real quick. They're about the same. It's a little bit better for the Obsidian Cleaver. You got a little bit more mastery on there. The main difference is, one's a random drop, being the Mandible. The Cleaver is also a random drop, of course, but it's a trash drop, whereas opposed to a boss drop. So you can buy this one if you've got the money. It's probably expensive at this point, and then you can upgrade it. So you got to wait till you get that crystallized firestone to then upgrade it, but there you go. So do what you think is best on the sword there, weapon, mace, whatever you want to get there. Soul Blade again is a really good one. Mace Acrid Death, if you're really playing cheap, go for it. Knock yourself out. All right. And then shields. Take a look at shields here. Blockade's Lost Shield is a really good shield here. It is another BOE, so as you've seen and heard, a lot of these depends on can you afford it, do you have the gold or not. It is a BOE there, so see if you can get it or not on your server for cheap. I'm not sure what they go for on mine. I've never really looked. The other option would be looking at, find it here real quick, scroll down. Eventually get to it. Shields. The Elementium Earthguard is a pretty good one. It's also got mastery, so it's obviously not as good as the... I forgot the name of it. The Blockade's Lost Shield is not as good as that, but maybe a little cheaper. It is another BOE. It's a craftable one, so you have to kind of look at that and see what's going on there for you, see what makes the most sense, and see what you get there, see what you want to pick up. All right. As far as the relic goes, if you're Phase 3 launch, you're broke as all get out here. You don't have very many Valor or Justice points here. Pick up the Relic Khazgaroth. It has mastery already on it anyway. In fact, I'm still using it because I'm just waiting until I can get the Crystallized Firestone to make this the 391 version, honestly. Just because, I've already got those caps and we're on farm at this point with my guild. So it's a very minor difference between the two. So it's really up to you. Do you want to spend the Valor points for this one or the Justice points for that one? It just kind of depends on where you're at. There are some options in the Molten Front, but again, they're kind of buried in the Molten Front there. And if you've not done that, it's the same issue as before. That's a huge grind, so I wouldn't suggest going for those. These two are very easy and accessible to pick up, and there you go. When it comes to gems, I do agree with a lot of the gem choices here. Just kind of look at the Phase 3 late. Your headpiece here, you're going to be using the Eternal Shadow Spirit Diamond and the Arcanum of the Earthen Ring. You have to pick that up there. Really good. It's your only really enchant for the head there. Shoulders here. The Poisson Dream Emerald is what you might not want to go for at first. You're probably going to split most of your stuff into just Fractured Ember Jewels, getting plus 40 everywhere. And I would suggest go with that. Don't go with all these. Like maybe it's is, maybe it isn't worth, picking up and getting that socket bonus there. Plus 30 stamina is good, but is that 30 stamina worth as much as another, 20 expertise? Probably not, or not expertise, sorry, 20 mastery, probably not there. And honestly, I don't use Guardian's Demon's Eyes anyway until later, okay, because there's a better option in my opinion. That better option, pretty sure I've got it on my gear here somewhere, yeah, is these guys right here, the Keen Ember Topazes. Now it's red and yellow, so I mean it's different, socket bonuses obviously may need to use something like the Guardian Demon's Eyes. Don't think I have any Demon's Eyes in my gear. Okay, I do have one. There, and that's because it's on a BIS piece, or it's not BIS, but it's almost BIS piece there, and I've obviously hit the CTC cap. So again, gemming, do it make sense? Is that socket bonus worth it? Is it not? Really up to you. Go with as many of the plus 40 as you can of the masteries, those fractured amber jewels, and just fill in whatever you can, wherever you can else with other things there. Eventually you'll want to get those Guardian Demon's Eyes. I'm not hating those at all. As you saw, I'll use one or two because they do have the expertise and stamina, and you're going to eventually want to start trading off, because once you get to this cap, you won't need mastery as much anymore. So you're trading off mastery for other stats. As far as hit goes, don't worry about it. I just now got to this. My expertise is still a little low there, but this didn't happen until, actually my expertise is a little bit higher there, we go, until late, until I've got some raid drops. I was only at like 1 or 2%, somewhere between 1 and 2% hit whenever we started Firelands, and my 10-man guild, we full cleared all heroic week 2. And I still had that same amount of hit, that 1 or 2% hit. So, might be a little sketchy on some of the stuff there. You gotta, maybe get some mistricks and stuff sent your way for if you're pulling Shadows or whatever you might be doing there for your guild and your strategy. But that's pretty much it on the loot there and all the good old pieces for yourself there. Hopefully that helps you all out on what you're looking for. There's some options there of what maybe to shoot for and go after. Again, check your auction house here, see if those make sense for you to do. Pick up all the Inferno stuff you can if you're cheap, because when I first started playing I was cheap. That's all I got there. Didn't have much gold, and so that was just the easiest thing to do, is just grind and get those. Didn't have to wait on a whole bunch of days. You just do it what I could when I can and get it, and there you go. Best luck to you guys out there, and hope everything goes well for you. And if you like things, feel free to like and subscribe. If not, don't worry on that. Don't really carry the way there. Hopefully it helped. If you got any suggestions on what you'd like to see next in some videos, or if you have suggestions on other gear pieces maybe I missed or overlooked, please let me know in the comments below. Anyway, hope you all have a good one. Later.